for joining us. What a day in court it was today. I'm sure everyone saw the Fez and the Moor. I'm not even going to bother putting a video up because the big dogs did it. So, I do my thing and hang out with my Discord. I don't know why you are not in Discord yet. Don't know why. My mods will throw up a link. It is a wonderful Discord. I'm in there all day with you people. And also, if you haven't checked out Tommy V, his new channel, he's always sending us stuff. I wish he would just send me stuff, but I know he's trying to grow his channel. But he helps me out. He's the man. He's been here since day one. How we doing, everybody? Let's get into it. Amarillo had some condiments with personalities today, and I got them. Also, I got a little Webster. Thurston was on fire today. We actually saw a live recusing. One judge gets up, another comes in and drops the hammer on someone. And then I have a main event from Thurston, which is unbelievable. So let's get it going. Let's have some fun. Let's laugh it up first with Amarillo. Here we go.
Hi, Mr. Scholes.
How you doing, ma'am?
I feel like I've seen you a lot lately.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's going on, Mr. Scholes? Why are you all of a sudden you're getting these cases?
Man, they just magically it's just messing me for nothing, man.
Hold on, Mr. Scholes, hold on just a second. Deputy, Mr. Tron can go back to his pod.
Okay. Tran, you're good. Sorry, I told him to have a seat. I didn't see him go up there.
That's okay.
You're good.
Okay, so Mr. Scholes, I show that you have a new possession of drug paraphernalia from yesterday. It looks like maybe you were in the roadway over there on North McMaster's. That's a busy intersection, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we just want you to be safe. So it looks like maybe you were in the roadway and I think some people had called and they were concerned about not only their own safety, but your safety.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, on that new possession of drug paraphernalia from yesterday, do you want to plead not guilty, no contest, or guilty?
Guilty.
Okay, if you plead guilty, I will find you guilty. I'm going to assess your fines and court cost at $531. I'm going to give you 2 days jail credit, okay?
Yeah.
That means your balance is $231. Now, on that case, you are going to be released, okay? And you'll
Okay.
have to appear here at municipal court, but you still have the cases from May 18th. You previously pled guilty to those. You were released to come to court and you never showed up. Why didn't you come to court when you were supposed to?
But ma'am, I stayed in 5 days because that time they did not let me go from Randall County. I stayed 5 days. I was here 5 days, but that time I supposed to have been let go.
That's right. And then you were supposed to show up. So,
Yes,
so
and I was
wait. When we release you, you're released from our charges. So that case you just pled to that you got $300 credit on, you still owe $231.
Okay.
So if you stay in jail 4 more days on something else, I mean, I'm just giving you an example. When you get out of jail, you have to come see me because on that case that you just pled to,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have released my hold. So
Okay.
I've ordered you to appear here by 2 p.m. on the first business day following your release.
Ma'am.
So on the older one,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
one from May 18th, I'm going to actually give you more jail credit. Your balance is just $131.
Okay.
Okay. So I can release you on that and let you come in since you were confused. Do you
Okay.
want me to do that? And then you'll come in and we'll set up a payment arrangement. Your balance will be about $362, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but when are you supposed to be here?
Tomorrow, 2 p.m.
Be here about 1:30.
1:30 tomorrow.
Okay, we're gonna try this again, Mr. Scholes. I want it to work out, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Imagine you're just such a regular in court that you're just like, show up at 1:30. Like like when if I have court, it's like the biggest deal. Like 1:30. I'll be there around 2. Thank you, Kim, a new member. What's up? How we doing? What's up? Month-long nerd. Let's keep rolling.
Thank you, Mr. Scholes. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Right,
This
Mr. Malcolm.
kid, this kid coming up is worth the price of admission. Oh my God. Michelle, my moderator, my friend, my compadre. Thank you. Here we go.
Yes, get the map in case you forgot where we are. Mr. Gallegos?
Here we go.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Gallegos, it looks like on August 5th of 2021, you received 3 citations. You came in on, a year later, September
ma'am.
12th of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, on August 5th of 2021, you got 5 citations.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like, yeah, it was quite a bit.
You got tickets at 2 o'clock on August 5th of 2021. And
And I
then
think
3 hours later, you got,
it was a bad day that day.
that was a bad day.
Yeah, it was.
And then on August 8th of 2022, you received a citations for speeding in a construction zone with workers present.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, I believe. I don't remember there being construction workers, but yes, ma'am, I do remember that.
You already pled to that, so we're not going to rehash those facts. Okay. So you owe $2,532 because you set a payment plan.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Tell me how many payments you feel like you made on that.
I feel like I made maybe 2 or 3 payments, and then
Yeah, what
And then-
happened?
my job, I'm a barber, so however much haircut is what money I get, and I gotta pay booth rent on top of that to pay for my booth for my boss, and sometimes the shop was slow. I had to pay my rent, I had to pay my car, and it was just hard to keep up with.
Correct, Grim.
So what effort did you make to come back here and talk to the court about that?
To be honest, I didn't make no effort. I have no excuse. I just admit I didn't make an extra effort to come and check back with them.
What should you have done?
I
What
should have.
Go ahead.
I should have at least maybe came to court again, talk maybe a better payment arrangement or something along those lines, making a better payment arrangement or maybe serve them a little bit. But way back then, one of those 2 choices,
Way back then was like,
like a year ago. Yeah, I know,
no, like 7 months ago.
but yeah, I should have done it before. Should have just took care of it.
How long have you known you had these warrants?
Since
Rebecca!
when was it? Maybe before Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about before Christmas.
Do you have any kids?
No, ma'am, I do not have no kids. I had dogs.
Okay. Do you support your own household or do you share a household or
It's me and my girlfriend. We share a household.
you still share a household? Because it looks like the police came out there yesterday because y'all were having a fight.
The police.
Yes, ma'am. We were having a fight and I had to leave, and it was a bad day yesterday. But yes, ma'am, we're still sharing a household.
Sometimes I get in a fight, but we don't ever get in a fight to the point where the police have to be called.
Yeah, it was bad. She had got on my face and I had got up and she pushed me, so I pushed her back and it escalated from there and just escalated from there and
Where's your booth?
it's a MLB barbershop.
Where's
It's
that?
right there on Culture and Hillside, right across the street from Golden Chicks, right next door to Pizza Hut. And then there's like a nail salon, a CBD store, and then what is it? The Villager Cleaners, and then us, and then an insurance place.
Okay. How much is your booth rent?
$250, ma'am, a week.
Oh, do you have a lot of customers?
I try to. Well, I used to at least. And one time, I had got in my wreck on one of those citations, and I was out of work for like 2 or 3 months, and I lost all my clientele, and that's when everything just went downhill.
That was back in 2021,
Yes, ma'am.
because that's the day you got the 5 tickets.
Oh no. This was back in Plainview.
Oh, because you had a wreck in 2021.
Oh no, this was in 2022. Whenever that happened.
So you've had a second wreck?
Yes, ma'am. But it was my girlfriend driving, not me. That's probably why it's not on there.
I see. Have you gotten a driver's license?
No, ma'am, I have not yet. With these warrants, I couldn't go.
Why have you never gotten a driver's license?
I didn't get my first car until I was 18, and so I mean,
Why did you get a car before you had a driver's license? Why didn't you get a driver's license first?
Because I had a family of 8 living with me, and not living with me, but living in one household, and we only had 2 cars, and sometimes I couldn't go to work, and sometimes my coworkers couldn't come get me, so I had to buy a cheap car to at least get me somewhere to point A to point B.
But you're a licensed barber.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you afford to get your license?
The school paid for it. I had to pay the school back. Like they gave us everything, the 14,000 or whatever, and they bought everything for us, and they just told us to go get our license, and that was it. And
Are
we
you
just paid them
paid?
back.
Have you paid them back?
No, ma'am. I'm working on that still. It was 14,000.
How often do you pay them?
Maybe 50, 60 a month, just to keep it going.
So what are your bills?
My bills are my rent, my car. Of
How
course,
much is your rent?
it's $850, and sometimes it goes a little higher with the electricity or the water.
And how much is the car? And you share that with your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am, the car.
No, you
And
share the
that-
rent.
Sometimes she'll pay for the car, and sometimes we'll switch back and forth.
How much is the car?
300.
Where's your girlfriend work?
She work. Dang it, she just got a new job. She does house caring. It's the app is called Access Care, and they give her little shifts to accept and whatnot, and she just accepts them or declines them, and whatever she wants to do, and she goes to the house and goes to take care of the elderly people.
Let's back up.
Okay.
So what's your income?
It just depends what kind of month it is for the barbering. Like I said,
Absolutely.
it just depends how much hair I can hit. Maybe I can hit maybe 1,000 a week, and then it drops down to maybe paying my booth rent and only making 300 for the rest of the week.
What's your average?
Average, I would say about maybe 500 or 600. Yes, ma'am.
At the job, they would have given you a W-2, yes.
Yes, ma'am, a W-2. And then my boss said I wouldn't have to pay no taxes until this year. And I haven't paid none this year because I wasn't sure how to do the W-240, because it's kind of different for self-employed, right?
Yep.
You did say ugly people.
We,
Whatnot. No, ma'am, that's probably about every 3 weeks. Probably not every month, but probably about every 3 weeks.
Oh, tabulate.
what?
What's reasonable?
$50 every 2 weeks.
Oh man, see over there at municipal court, they told me 100, either 150 every 2 weeks or 100 every 2 weeks.
Oh
This is
man,
municipal
see?
court.
Yes, ma'am. Over there at
All right, here we go.
downtown.
Pay
Are you
your.
ready?
I'm gonna let you out. I'm gonna give you one more shot. I think you can get yourself back on the straight and narrow.
All
I
right.
think you and I sat here and worked your budget, maybe more than you ever have.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. I mean, I figured it out, and by yourself, you're in tough straits. If your income is what you're thinking it is.
Yes, ma'am.
But with, sharing that lease with the girlfriend, and you can make things work out. But you need to get your license. You need to figure out your money. You need to sit down and figure out a budget, Mr. Gallegos. And I don't know what you need to do. You seem like a personable guy. I don't know what you need to do to get more people in there to the barber shop. I don't know if you
Yes.
advertise or,
So yes, stuff like that. Yeah.
I want it to work out for you, and you're young and you have taken on huge debt, but because you're a business owner and because you're a young man, when you have issues where you can't pay these bills, you've got to come back in here.
Yeah.
Life lesson.
You just come in on your own. And, we have barbers that come in and they go, had a tough couple of weeks,
Yeah.
had a car accident, had a whatever, what can you do? Is there anything you can do, Judge, to help me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
But our conversations don't need to be over Zoom while you're wearing some lovely black and white stripes. Okay.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
They need to be you coming here, right in here to the courtroom and us having that conversation.
Give
Yes,
him a
ma'am.
map.
Okay.
Send him
Are you
on
in
his
better
way.
shape?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to see you. You need to be here by 2:00 tomorrow.
All right, here we go.
We'll take them through the cases. And good morning to you. And how do I pronounce your last name, ma'am?
Oh, Pasquetti.
Pasquetti. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Miss
Yeah.
Pasquetti, I first want to ask you, were you in the courtroom this morning when the video containing your constitutional trial rights was played?
Well, not really early in the morning. I don't think so.
Were you in that room right there where the video played this morning?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Just keep quiet, please. Thank you.
Deputy, was Miss Pasquetti in the courtroom when the video was played this morning?
Yes, she was, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Miss Pasquetti, do you not recall that video that was played this morning while you were sitting on the bench there?
No, I came in here a little later here. Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
So let me take you through your rights so that you understand them, okay? And anyone who was not in the room when the video was played or didn't recall watching the video, please listen so that
It does sound like from Pete's Dragon, Chris. That was a good one.
we only have to go through your rights like this one time. First, I want you to know that Ms. Pasquetti, you are facing misdemeanor charges. As such, you need to understand that the maximum possible penalty on each of the misdemeanor charges is up to 6 months in jail and up to $1,000 fine. Do you understand that is the maximum possible penalties associated with misdemeanors?
Yeah.
You have an absolute right to plead not guilty to any or all of these charges and set the matters for trial. At that trial, you'd be entitled to be represented by, it'd be a right to a speedy and public trial. Do you understand that first?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you understand also that at that trial, you'd be entitled to be represented by an attorney? And if you could not afford one, I would appoint counsel to represent you at no cost. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Also at that trial, it would be the city's obligation or burden to prove each element of these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they could not meet that burden, which is the highest burden in the law, you would be acquitted. That is found not guilty. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
You would also have the right to confront and cross-examine the city's witnesses. You can question them. That's your Sixth Amendment right. You can call your own witnesses and use this court subpoena power in order to compel their appearance so that you could lodge your own defense if you chose to. And finally, you would enjoy the right to remain silent at that trial. And if you chose to remain silent, neither I nor any other judge would be able to hold that against you. Do you understand those additional constitutional trial rights?
Oh, yeah.
And do you understand that by entering a plea of no contest or guilty to any of these charges this morning, you'll be waiving or giving up those constitutional trial rights. There will be no trial on these matters, and we'll proceed directly to sentencing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not saying you will or won't plead no contest or guilty. I'm just asking if you understand that that would be a consequence of pleading no contest or guilty, that the cases wouldn't go to trial. Do you understand the constitutional trial rights as I have explained them to you?
Yes.
And do you understand the maximum possible penalties as I have explained them to you?
Oh, yes.
All right, let's take you through your cases, Ms. Pasquetti. First, we're going to be in 18 CR 15280. In this case, you were arrested a long time ago, back in 2018, for trespassing. This alleged to have occurred on October 15th of 2018 at 407 North Virginia Street. Do you understand that charge of trespassing?
Oh, yeah.
All right. It also alleges that you failed to appear to court to answer to that charge. That failure to appear alleged to have occurred on March 8th of 2023. I'm not sure why we have such a late appearance date on that thing.
Judge, she was set for trial.
Okay, thank you. So apparently you entered not guilty plea on that trespassing and you set it for trial, but you failed to appear for your trial date allegedly. Do you wish to admit or deny failing to appear for your trial date?
Yeah, I did forget about it. I
right.
couldn't make it over there, and so I never went over there.
I'll accept that as an admission and find you in contempt on that charge. We'll hold off the trespassing for a while, and we're going to take you through your next case. Your next case is 19 CR 04316, and in this case, you were charged with trespassing as well. And this one you were charged, this was alleged to have occurred on March 14th of 2019 at 2707 South Virginia Street. That would be the Peppermilk Casino. Do you understand that charge?
Yeah.
You pled not guilty to that charge, and we set a trial date for that same trial date of March 8th of this year. Do you wish to admit not failing to appear or failing to appear for that March 8th date?
Yeah, well,
you didn't show up on the other one, and so I'm just gonna, one contempt is fine for that same date.
Oh,
All right, so let's take you to another case we have with
Another
you,
case. Yeah.
which is 22 CR 12030, and in this case, you were charged with drinking or possessing an open container of alcohol in public. You were cited for that in the area of 358 Virginia Street back on August 31st of last year. Do you understand that charge?
yeah.
You pled guilty to that charge too. Same trial date. I'm going to.
Tasha, thank you for the dono. Thank you for the congrats. Day one, Tasha. Thank you so much. Thank you for your continued support. Much appreciated.
Quash that warrant. One warrant is sufficient.
Yeah.
Let's take you to your next case.
It's
We're
just
going to be
late.
in 22 CR 14774. You were charged with trespassing.
Poor
This
lady.
one alleged to have occurred on November 8th of last year, also at the Peppermilk Casino. You were arrested for this event. Do you understand that charge of trespassing?
What is she doing at the Peppermilk Casino? Yeah. Get away from my penny slots.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You pled not guilty to that, set the matter for trial, and that same trial date of March 8th, you were arrested for this event. Do you understand that charge of trespassing?
Oh, yeah.
You pled not guilty to that, set the matter for trial, and that same trial date of March 8th. I'm going to quash that warrant. Again, one warrant is sufficient.
Okay.
And then the last case we have is the newest case. In the new case we have, we're on record in 23 CR 05745. You were arrested and charged with trespassing. This alleged to have occurred on May 27th of this year in the area of 407 North Virginia Street. Do you understand that charge?
Yeah.
How do you wish to plead to the current trespassing charge?
Let's see. I guess, yeah.
Ms. Pasquetti, remember we spoke about getting you over to
Thank you,
community
Toby.
court if you enter a no contest plea?
Yeah.
Is that still what you'd like to do?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so go ahead and enter a no contest plea then.
Well, I guess I was sort of innocent, guilty.
What?
I guess,
So you're innocent and guilty, Ms. Pasquetti?
yeah.
So what would you like to do in this case? Would you like to set these matters for trial again, or would you like to enter pleas of no contest to some of these charges and set this matter for community court tomorrow morning so that we can get you services? How would you like to proceed?
No contest.
Okay, do you understand that by pleading no contest, you'll be waiving your constitutional trial rights? There'll be
Yeah.
no trial and we'll proceed directly to sentencing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll accept your no contest plea on that. Ms. Drake, how would you like to proceed on the other 4 cases?
Judge, I did have a chance to review them. They're all minor and similar offenses. I'll dismiss those
Yeah.
for her agreement to go to community court.
All right, thank you, Ms. Drake.
Yeah.
All right, the other charges are dismissed. The warrants are quashed along with them. So Ms. Pasquetti, we're going to be in community court on 1 case, which is the current case. And what I'm going to do is place you on a no bail hold until tomorrow morning, at which point that no bail hold will be released or
Thank you, Monica. Check your Discord.
to an own recognizance release. You will be transported tomorrow morning from jail to community court through the community court transport van. We're going to work with you at community court, see if we can get some services under you, and so that we stop these trespassing charges, which I think are related to homelessness, if I'm being honest, Ms. Pasquetti. So we're going to see you tomorrow morning at community court and see what we can do with you, okay?
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank.
Oh, Miss Pasquetti. She's so upbeat. Yeah. All right. I was going to show a bunch of stuff, but this TPO is just too good. It's about pussy cats. Yes. Pussy cats. I gotta cue it up. I'm sorry. I'm doing it. We're doing it. 10K. Thank you very much for the PayPal donos. Thank you so much, mods. You're the best. Okay, here we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Why is it not coming up? There we go. Okay. Okay, so there's a woman in her bathroom. There's a woman. The woman in the bottom left has nothing to do with it. This is the first time I've ever seen this judge pissed. It's a black screen, but the people are in court. It's a family. They're snickering. Let's get to it. It is fantastic.
You can get a copy. Do we send her a copy? Your copy of this will get emailed to you for service. So Ms. McClendon and then Ms. Foster will take up that case. So
Here
who's
we
Ms.
go.
Foster? Okay.
Her and her advocate are out in the hallway discussing a few things in the paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Queen's cousin. This is a classic. Here we go.
And Ms. McClendon, you're Ms. McClendon, is that correct? Why don't you come up to that table right there?
Cat tempt. Oh God, Chris. Dad joke. Love it.
What was funny about that? That was funny.
Thank you, Kitch.
We have a flash drive.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. So what's on the flash drive?
Miss Foster
Doing what?
screaming and yelling at me.
Okay. And why wasn't this submitted before today?
We did the paperwork and they told us what we needed to bring and how to bring it, but that's all we knew. It's very important to see it.
All right, well,
We only put a few on there. Just a few, just to show
so
you,
just.
like 3.
Ma'am, please stop.
We're-
And you can be seated, first of all.
okay.
And who are you? I'm sorry? Okay. And then Ms. Foster, is that you?
Yes.
And then who's seated to your right?
I'm her niece, Mandy Albright. I'm trying to be her advocate. She found out Thursday night before the holiday weekend she did not have one.
Okay.
I know nothing of this.
What's that?
I don't know that she has anybody else but her and me.
Well, you have,
No, he's
that's not
just-
entirely true. You have someone
He's
too.
just for my side.
What's that?
He's just for my side.
Yeah, well, she's for her side. I mean, I don't,
Okay, I can have him leave.
what's that?
I can have him leave if it's a problem.
Well, it's not a problem. So good, just everybody, you know, I've heard some, I will say this. You know, I've heard some people laughing and kind of scoffing and some things have gone on, including just a second ago.
Yeah,
I don't think any of this is all that funny.
I wasn't.
And if I
laughing.
think, and I just, everybody stop. And and the fact that other people might think it's funny, don't take a real dim, take kind of a dim view to that. You understand that? Okay, so you can sit down. No, right there. Where are you going?
Okay.
So your son's here for you, which I understand. I'm
Definitely,
gonna allow that
Peach.
to happen. Apparently, Ms. Foster's niece is here for her. I'm gonna let that happen too. And so, but again, just to lay some ground rules here, maybe you are lawyers, you can tell me if you're not the attorney. And so the way things, you know, mainly allowing you to do this was for primarily emotional support. So what happens on these things is you've seen one already, which is a little bit different because an attorney was involved in that case. There
There
are
she
no
goes.
attorneys involved in these cases. So what's going to happen here today is I'm going to swear in the petitioner. I'll hear from the petitioner, Ms. McClendon. And then when she's done, I'm going to swear in Ms. Foster. I'll hear from her. And then there's a number of people in court. People are entitled to call witnesses if they wish. And if you have witnesses you wish me to hear from, I'll swear in each one of those and I'll hear from those folks. And if you have witnesses you wish to swear in, I'll hear from them. You told me both when you came in and now you have a flash drive you want me to listen to. And we'll see what we can do about hearing that. But that's going to be heard by everybody. And so I'm not going to hear anything or see anything that you're not going to have access to either. So maybe we can put that on the television screen where we can all see it.
I didn't know that we could have witnesses or anything. I thought this was just between Miss Foster.
Well, it is between you and Ms. Foster, but yeah, this is a court case just like any others. Anytime anybody ever has a court case, they can call witnesses.
Okay.
And
I wasn't aware of that.
What's that?
I wasn't aware of that, but that's fine.
Okay. And then what witnesses did you wish to call?
None.
Okay.
Get
then,
your popcorn
Okay.
ready.
So, and again, I need to talk to, you know, I'm going to allow you to sit there, but, you know, with your mother, but unless I'm addressing you or have specific questions for you, we're just going to hear, and that goes for you too. We'll hear from Ms. Foster and we'll hear from Ms. McClendon. So with that, Ms. McClendon, and again, actually, say a few other things. You know, these cases, I can already tell, and this is no exception, are very emotional. There's a lot of hard feelings that go back and forth from both directions. Both of you, I guess, I'm assuming, are going to hear things you don't like from the other party. Ms. Foster, possible, maybe seeing something on video that she doesn't like. But whatever you hear, don't interrupt the other party. And if you're a supporter of the other party, don't interrupt that other individual also. And then if there are witnesses I need to take testimony from, I'll do that. And then following that, I'll have a hearing or I'll make a decision. We're going to have the hearing now. So with that, Ms. McClendon, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
How is it that you need an order against Ms. Foster?
I'm being harassed by
Well,
her.
you're going to need to, again, we had that one where and again, I
What's up,
use it
Lynn?
as an example.
Oh,
That woman who was there earlier, she gave a really distinct timeline about on such and such a date this happened, on such and such a date that happened.
Well,
And so I'm gonna need you to kind of flesh out that out a little bit.
I'll do my best because I can't read a calendar and that kind of thing, but I'll do my best.
What?
Miss
Can't read a
Foster moved
calendar.
in December 10th. And as she moved in, I had told her that I'm allergic to cigarette smoke and that
lady
this is a
sucks.
non-smoking complex unit. She had a cigarette in her mouth. And I wanted to remind her, said several times, please do not smoke. I get very ill by it. And she continued to smoke. It came through, that's why there's no smoking. It will come through the apartment complex into other apartments. So the smoke comes around you, your back door, your front doors, wherever. She sits directly right behind me, a wall separating us. And the smoke comes through. It will come through kitchen vents, walls, outlets, everywhere. Management has told me that they have talked to her about it, but it continues. So I'm not going to get into details because this is night and day, 24 hours a day. Within probably 5 days, she was standing by me as I was outside my apartment. I asked her to stop blowing smoke in my face. She did not. This continued. She got another cigarette and another cigarette. And it just seemed as though she was not understanding. So I said, do you understand? I can't handle smoking. So I went in my apartment. And again, she's back into hers and the cigarette smoke. So this became a big problem. She unloaded on me, literally, screaming, yelling, swearing at me. I went into my apartment. Next thing I know, she's in my kitchen window. I didn't really know how to act because this is not something that's ever happened to me. Since then, it has been a constant problem that she gets into my windows, screaming, yelling, and there are always obscenities. My care people have left because she does it to them. She seems to be under the influence of something, and we're not getting this through. She has literally asked me to come out of my apartment and yelled at me because I won't react. The only thing I could do, I laugh because when I try to get above her, it's very embarrassing. I don't think that she's getting anywhere, but she will also stand outside my kitchen window with a cigarette. And there's ashes. We've had literally cigarettes dropped on the ground and she's left them and gone, which he's had to go out there and pick them up. I do have them. This has been going on for months and months and months. My care people are fed up with it. They don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to work for me because of her and the issues. Every incident, there is no one else. There's not people around. She does it all by herself.
Do you live next door to each other?
She's, yeah, but she's in the hallway. It's quite a distance. But she will walk, she will literally stop outside. You can open my door and see her out there. She has a phone. She tries to record anything. She'll either go to the back of the sliding glass door and she's got her hand out recording me. I've been out in my personal space on the patio doing strawberries and she's screaming and yelling and it's just sick. It's just sick behavior. And people that have witnessed it are fed up with it. And it has absolutely tormented me. I can't go out. And during this order that she had to go through, she made it a big game where if I went out of my apartment, she would jump out the door as if to come out. And I would go back in. But she started to, every time I even opened the door and I bumped the railing, that was like a signal for her to come out. I finally got where the last 4 days 4 or 5 days, I haven't even gone out of the apartment because 4:30 in the morning, we tested to see if she was really doing this. She was. So
Doing
this was
what?
4:30, 5:30 a.m. just to see if this was for real. It's just the sound of me coming out. She would come out, she'd throw boxes out and then bring the boxes back, slam her door. I just didn't even go out anymore. And today was the first time I have been out my front door because I know she can't bother me. But this flash drive shows what my care people and I have gone through for months. I've been there 10 years. She's been there months. And it has been the worst life I've had for 10 years living there. So just, I'm a vulnerable adult. And there's a reason for that because you can come up behind me and I won't know you're there until you're there. And it's so very frightening. I have disabilities other than that, but I've never in my life been through so much. And I, it just sum it up. This has been the most horrible time in my entire life, as well as the care people. I had night nurse, day people. I was having kidney problems, but no, she still came up and managed to torture me, also my son. And what we have is just 3 little incidents. We have
Okay,
cameras.
We'll get to that. We'll get to those in a minute, ma'am.
We have cameras that show her literally crawling on the walk area to get under my window so she can listen to me. She's got a cigarette in her mouth, or she hides to come underneath her. But the cameras, there's so much that we didn't bother, but we can. There's so much that we could put on the flash drive, but all we put was just a few things, just so you can see what life has been like since she moved in.
Okay.
So
Let me hear from her, ma'am. And Ms. Foster? Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
It's not uncommon for me to hear two sides of the same coin, so what's your perspective on all of this?
I would like to know if Mandy could speak for me.
Ma'am,
I'm a
I need
little
to
bit
hear,
emotional.
I need
I'd
to hear from
really-
you.
Pardon me?
I need to hear from
Do your
you.
best. Okay. Just do your best. I'll try to be short. I moved in December 10th. The day I moved in, I can't lift for physical reasons. I can't lift anything. So I had people move me in.
Let me stop you. Is this an assisted living facility?
It's
Sort of?
It's called Mercy Housing. I know it's funded financially to help pay rent. I don't think it's specifically for disabilities. I don't, to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right, but you can continue.
Okay, so the people were bringing my stuff in and I didn't hear till later that she was harassing them, accusing them of smoking out by the van or the truck that they had. They went on, I guess they went on the other side and had a cigarette or something. I'm not sure. She had come to my door twice that day. The first time, I believe she may have said who she was because I didn't know who my neighbor was. I believe she may have told me her first name. She seen I had a dog. Well, I was busy trying to keep him contained. Well, she brought over I guess they're called pee pads, where pets can use in the house. And then I thanked her and I said, well, he's an outside dog. He goes outside. Then she came back and brought me a spray bottle of something I was supposed to spray on it so he would use it, but he didn't, but regardless. So then as I was moving in, her son was on the front porch. Because there's a front porch.
This individual here?
Yes. it
Okay,
is.
continue on.
In our apartments, there's a front door, the main door to go to the house, and then you to go in the house, there's a living room and stuff, and there's big patios on the back porch with sliding doors. But he was on the front porch, and he was standing there smoking a cigarette. And it was, I don't know if it was her or him later on said something about smoking, because we can't smoke in apartments. And she said I could smoke because on where my apartment is, it's all walled off, I guess you would say. So I could smoke there. Well, so one time, I don't know if it's the same day, it could have been the next day, and I did finally go out later and took a couple puffs right there on front of my door. And then she came out of her apartment, looked over and asked me if I was smoking, and I said, yeah, told me that I could smoke over here. Because then I didn't know all the rules, this stuff as far as where you could smoke, where you couldn't, because I guess they do have one down the other end of the complex. And so she came out and looked at me and said, are you smoking? I said, yeah. And she said, I'm trying to remember what she said. I said, you said something about it was okay to smoke over here. Yeah, but not when I'm out here. And she got really smart about it. Well, that's when it started. I'm assuming that's what started this whole month's worth. She bangs on the walls. She'll get and start the living room and just bang, 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 and bang, 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 all the way up the hallway. She stands out on her back. I'll refer to it the back patio, the one which comes off of my living room. And she's on I'm assuming her phone, whoever, and she talks so loud that I'd say 6 times out of 10, I can pretty much tell what she's saying. The horrible things she says, the horrible things she has said to me. I have doctor appointments. I have tests I have to get done because I have metastatic breast cancer and it's metastasized. So I mean, I can't go out my door literally that she doesn't come out. She always says something to me. I don't know how many times that I've been told that I smell. I can't say anything. Things that I did submit. I mean, she
Smell.
There's a
pretty
number of
foul language.
correspondence you submitted.
Smell.
Pardon me?
I said, I saw you submitted a number
Okay.
I said,
So
See you
that
later,
was-
Chris.
correspondence. I mean, there's
Okay.
emails. I think there's a lot of emails in there to various people. I saw those.
Yeah, okay. But then when I got the restraining order and I was told, I couldn't go 10 feet where the way our apartments are, I had to come up the stairs and then her apartment's to the right of me, a little patio. To get to my apartment, I would turn left, but my apartment's like, I guess enclosed, there's walls all around it, so there's nothing back there but me. And the order said I had to be 10 feet away from her.
Right,
Well, that meant if she was on her porch, I couldn't leave my house.
I see.
So I
And then did she hang out on her porch?
Pardon me?
Would she hang out on her porch?
When
Would
at
she
first,
prevent you from leaving your house is what my real question is.
I don't know if at first if it was deliberate or not, but if I'd see her, I'd go back in the house. Well, I have a dog to take out, so that's why I would go
I
out
heard.
and go, okay. But it was, I don't remember the date, but it was around the 20th. It was deliberate. To me, because she would come out and literally put a lawn chair and sit on the lawn chair. There's been times I was stuck outside for
Thanks,
well
Les.
over an hour, at least an hour, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, trying to get back in my house with my dog. I'm accused of smoking in my apartment. I'm accused of blowing smoke in my window. I'm accused of doing stuff in her window. I've never, did I ever recall passing, other than when the time she was videoing me and a friend of mine that he had come to visit. And she was standing there, when we walked out, her and her son were standing where my hallway started, waiting, standing there holding her, I assume, a cell phone and said, and we didn't say nothing. And she looked at the gentleman that was there. You had nothing to say. Why? I'm on video. I've already got 3 videos on you. And he lost it because she has just taunted and tormented. He knows he's witnessing what she's done. But I said to him, you ever notice if she's got videos, she doesn't say nothing. But why would somebody, and I admit, Your Honor, there have been times that I was just at my last straw. And I think twice I kind of banged on the wall back at her. When she videoed us, that one, I remember that day, I was upset and he walked over and he did confront her in her face, said some things he shouldn't have probably. And I may or may not have flipped her off, if that's the proper word. But I said, now you have something to video. But she's got me on video from the back of my house. She had cameras pointing into my apartment. She had them from her front door, and it was only place it was pointed was my door. She knows when I leave my house, what time I left. She's on the phone saying, "Oh yeah, acting she stinks and this, and she's carrying booze in it." I mean, it's just, I'm done. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I'm
These
done.
other people you have with you, are they other residents in that place? Or are they just your friends here for your support?
If I ever wanted to see a group of people more in my entire life, it's right now. This is the one bad thing about this TPO. God damn you, Thurston.
The people behind you?
Oh, well,
I'm curious.
yeah, well, my daughter has had can testify what was done.
So I want to know if there's other residents in the building here, is my
No,
question.
No,
Okay.
just,
Um,
to be honest, I tried
always prefer that when people are honest. Go ahead.
to get people, to come in my behalf, or, this was before I knew the 10th, anyway. They're going through the same thing that she's done to them. Actually, the lady's apartment that I'm in, the apartment I'm in, the person that lived there before me lived there 2 years, and she did the exact same thing, the slamming on the walls, video and doing stuff. They moved her downstairs. She ends up in a hospital for, I guess, mental evaluation, that's what it's called, for a week or 2 weeks. But they did move her out finally. But nobody, I think people don't want to have to deal with the wrath or if they do anything. I mean, she threatens to call the cops on people. She's done it numerous times, numerous tenants there. I just don't have physical proof other than some of the information I've
All
seen.
right. So, I'm gonna ask, well, Ms. McClendon, let me ask you this. She's saying that, you beat on walls occasionally. Is that accurate? No?
She will come in after she's so drunk. You hear her falling on the wall, banging on the wall, screaming, yelling. I actually called the police because I was concerned. The other thing is the lady that lived there before was such a chronic smoker that not just myself complained, people around complained. So she was moved away, but they became best friends, and great. Maybe they share information back and forth, but that has nothing to do with me. Again, all these people were told they cannot smoke in that apartment, period. There's no smoking on the property.
So hang on, just, okay, I asked you a question, you answered it.
Did I?
I'm gonna go back with Ms. Foster. I mean, do you smoke?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
And I do have a vape for
I
when
mean,
I'm in
is
the
it,
house.
is that compliance with the rules of the, are you allowed to smoke there? People who are putting your hands back there, it's all right, Justin. Okay, so, is that within the rules? What are the rules of that place?
It's the apartments. I was told, cannot smoke in the apartments, which anybody that knows me, my family, I don't smoke in my house anyway.
Well, I mean, in the apartment, that can mean
Yeah.
on the premises,
No, in
in
the,
the building.
okay. And then I've been told, of course, management, it is called a non-smoking property. But
Nowadays, when there's no smoking, there's like X number of feet, you have to be away from the building to smoke.
Right, okay. Now, when the management did tell me that the apartment complex goes it's a long one. When I go out to smoke, I always go down to the other end of the building because I take my dog with me so he can do his thing. And there is a designated smoking area on the property. And it's, I mean, I'm way more than 25 feet from the building, especially my apartment, which is clear at the other end of the complex. But I would like to make a point. She keeps saying she's deathly allergic to smoke. Her son smokes. He will. I have seen him in numerous times underneath my apartment because we're on the second floor, underneath my patio outside the living room, standing there talking to her and smoking on the property. Every time he goes out, he goes through the laundry room, blocks the door open, which is not allowed to be done, to leave a door accessible that somebody else can get through, and stands outside the laundry room on the property and smokes and feeds the wild animals, the raccoons, the squirrel, whatever. I mean, she keeps bringing up that I smoke on the property. Well, and she's allergic to smoke. Well, she's smelling his smoke on his clothing. I would, say, but that's okay. So I don't know.
Yeah, Your Honor, he's
Yes.
off the property,
But he smokes too?
away from me. He's the only one that goes.
Okay, so
She
I'm
won't
just,
go out for days.
don't be pointing.
Oh,
Don't
She
be
doesn't
pointing.
go out of her apartment for days. I mean, her smoking, she might go out once, maybe twice in an entire day. The rest of it is in the apartment. We had video where she told
So-
the management she smokes in the apartment. He goes off the property to the woods. By the time he comes back up, whatever, he doesn't smell like smoke. He's the only one that goes out there. We have other smokers too that abuse the apartments. But for her, the wind blows around, comes right into my apartment. She's aware of it. I have a windmill out there. It comes right into my back door, or right through my kitchen, or right through the apartments. That is why they cannot condone smoking. You cannot guarantee that a person's not breathing it.
Hang on just a second. You don't need to speak, ma'am. Do you have a flash drive there? Show me some video. Do you have anyone to show me? What I'm talking about now is, we need to get up. We need to get set up to show video. You just can't walk in and say, here, plug this thing and do it.
But they
It's
told
actually
us
kind of a
that
process.
we had to do that.
I'm gonna assume, ma'am, that you were told one thing and interpreted it some way else. Because I know the procedure of how you present video, and I tend to doubt you were told, yeah, just bring it in, it'll be plug and play. And maybe you've interpreted that way. I'm not denying that you interpreted it that way, but I'm saying that there might have been miscommunication. Maybe it's our fault. Maybe we weren't clear.
Can we show
But,
you on a phone?
but hang on, just stand by for a moment. Yeah, but I want them to see it. I don't want to look at anything that they're not looking at.
There is no way she knew what they told her to do. She did not do it the correct way. The judge is 1,000,000% correct.
I mean, yeah, because the prosecutors held it up to that TV.
Because they do it through their.
This is a
What's that?
shit show. And where is this lady doing? What is she doing?
All right, I'm not sure we're gonna be able to look at that today.
He
No.
has it on his phone.
Yeah, but this is a court hearing with a proceeding. We're creating a record, things are introduced, you testified, there's evidence.
I don't know what else to do.
Probably if he showed it on his phone, I'd probably have to hang on the phone because then that comes part of the record. And I'm gonna assume that's not what he wants.
We don't know what to do, but it's very important you do see this. As well as the
Say,
care
well,
of people.
Well, hang on just a second. Ma'am, unbeknownst to you, there's at least two people have raised their hand behind you. I'm not sure why they raised their hands. As I said before, you can call any witnesses that you wish to call, and I'll hear from them, but I will let you know in advance. What's important to me is what's known as fact witnesses. And that's actually people who've seen things of what's actually gone on out there, which is why I asked who lived there. It doesn't appear to me that anyone you brought with you lives there. And so you can go back and consult with those folks. If there's fact witnesses you want me to hear from, then I'll do that. But I guess you can go back and consult with them, or you can talk with your niece, is that right? There, and see if there's any witnesses who may be valuable. But again, someone coming in saying, yeah, this is, you're a good person and she's a horrible person, that's not going to help me. And what will help me is, anybody who actually saw incidents out there. And if
business, and I said nothing inappropriate. I know, never did I swear, never did I raise my voice at her. And she continued to tell me that I could not talk to her that way in her home. And I proceeded to tell her that, again, she needed to mind her own business and that she needed to stop harassing my mother and banging on the walls and calling the police on her and causing all these issues, that my mother has cancer and this stress is not good for her. So that is one incident that I have.
okay,
She also has me on camera. Again, I apologize. I do not have a date for this one. I pick my mom's dog up for her and I take him to the groomer for her. I was returning him to her. I took him out around the back to the public sidewalk in the grass to go to the bathroom. I looked up. She was standing on her back patio at her back door recording me. Again, because I don't want to give her any ammunition because we've done nothing wrong and I'm not doing anything wrong. I will be honest with you, I overkilled and I waved at her. Hi, hope you're having a good day. See anything interesting? And then he went to the bathroom, cleaned it up, and I said, see, I even clean up after the dog.
okay.
I don't know if you're interested in this. We've gone as far, you've seen all this, all the times she's called the police.
If it's been submitted, yes, there was.
I don't know,
public
I'm
record.
not sure what all got submitted,
Okay.
but these are my accounts.
All right.
And like I said, every time I am over there to visit my mother, she
How is she a
records, I usually
witness?
ignore her, and there is banging that does go on the walls.
Okay. You can go back and sit down.
Oh, and I don't know if it
Unless
matters, but
you're
my
done.
mother does smoke on the public sidewalk. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. And then you had someone you wish to call as a witness also, is that correct?
It's just a brief thing, but you know what? None of that is correct.
Okay, well, I'll give you a chance to respond. Go ahead, ma'am. Come on up. Well, actually. What's your name, ma'am?
Deborah Fata, Fata.
Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You can put your hand down. What do you know about all this?
I know specific incidences that have occurred. I go to this property, she's my friend, and I go to the property 3 or 4 times a week. I pick her up and I take her to stores and stuff because she can't drive. So I've seen different things.
It gets there, Rick.
And this neighbor, in fact, I've seen her outside her house, right outside the front door, she was smoking. And I try to, since then, I watch these two. You can even ask them till they get up the stairs and in their apartment. And she just started saying stuff to them loud, and I couldn't make out what she was saying. I have a little bit of hard of hearing, but I know it was loud because I could hear and mumble jumble stuff. And they stopped and they looked at her, and then they proceeded to go on. But she was like, her posture. I mean, she was postured like she was angry. I mean, and her facial, like she was angry. And I just brought them back from the store. I mean, I don't know what she could have done. Another time I was on the phone with her, and in the background, all of a sudden I hear all this screaming and yelling. And I asked her what it was, and she said, that's my neighbor. And she was yelling swearing, okay, swearing and yelling about nothing but about stuff, like calling her names. You're a B, you're a C.
All right. You can go back and sit down. You wanted to respond to Ms. Foster's daughter, what'd you say?
Yeah,
And then I'll give you a chance to respond to what you just heard.
yeah. The incident she's talking about, Mother's Day, was the day I said, I'm done with this whole thing. I was at my kitchen window. There was no camera, a fan in the window. She was standing outside staring at me. And I said, why are you staring at me? Or are you staring at me? She said, yes, I am. I said, this is my home. You're staring in my kitchen window. I'd appreciate you stopping doing that. She said she wasn't going to. She continued, blah, 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 blah. You know, of course it gets into fuck this and all that kind of stuff. I walked away. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. I go through her, now her daughter, in the back. All I was doing was sitting in my chair. I looked out there. I can't tell you who it was. I hear this screaming and yelling up at me. That's right. You go ahead. Look at me, blah, blah, blah. I shut my sliding glass door. The rest of that story is not true. None of that is true. Word for word, I have told you what I asked her was to stop staring at me in my kitchen window. So after that, I decided, you know what? I'm done. I've had enough. And like I say, people have heard it. Caregivers have lived with it and left. And if this order doesn't stop her, which it obviously has not, what is left? And if you can't look at the flash drive and the stuff that people have had to live through with her, this is not good because we thought we did something right. I don't.
Ms. Foster, anything you wish to say in response to what I can't call this latest?
I'm assuming when she said I was looking at her kitchen window, was that Mother's Day?
No,
was
she had
referring to?
said that she
Oh.
was on the phone with her and there was some words, the C word, I think was mentioned among some other things.
Yes, I've been called that I smell like a.
No,
yeah.
she's attributing that language to you.
Oh, no, I never said that to her.
So here's what's gonna happen here today, and that is, you can go ahead and submit that flash drive. Obviously, I can't look at it now. And then it'll be submitted into evidence where you can access to it, and then I'll take a look at it. And we'll reconvene in 2 weeks, and then I'll give a decision one way or the other. I've heard enough testimony. I don't want to hear anything. If you want me to look at that, I'll look at it. But here's the other thing. I'm gonna adjust the no contact order to lift the distance restriction, so there's not gonna be any 10 feet thing. It's just you're just not to contact each other, don't communicate with each other. I'm gonna tell you all something else that I think I told you at the temporary hearing. It kind of appears to me that this whole thing is about smoking. And I can't do anything about that. I can't. And I can make people not talk to each other. Hopefully I can put distance restrictions, don't come within, so I'll need another temporary order, please.
Yeah.
What's that? No.
It's-
I can make people not come within a certain amount. I can't make people not smoke. I just can't. There's nothing I can do about that. And if she's breaking rules around the apartment, that's up to apartment management, not to me. I can't do anything about that. And so, as I've said, I think I told you during the temporary hearing, I can't deliver good neighbors to people. I just can't. And I guess I just maybe.
It's crazy.
But she still can't come up to my window, am I right?
She's just not to come onto your property or have contact with you.
These women.
Again, I'm just
suck.
not, I can't get out there with the tape measure and say, don't come
fine.
within,
She was
ma'am. I
No.
just say, you're just not to communicate with each other. And that's it.
All right, I'm gonna throw another one in here for you. This one goes on, but I want to give you more visual. I may make a video with this one. I'm gonna give you this one was also El Creepo Extremo. Here we go.
If I may,
This one is creepy. This guy is El Creepo. Let's roll. Oh, those ladies suck. Could you imagine living next to that? Oh, all right, here we go.
I'm just going to ask for a continuance at this point. I was hired very late last week, have not had a chance to fully prepare for this. I need to get a brief into the court and I need to go through the paperwork that my client has given me. So we're just asking for a brief continuance to give me a chance to do that, which of course we understand would include the reissuance of the temporary order.
You know, we were here last week and 2 weeks ago, Mr. Mountjoy, I swore in Ms. Slauson and I heard from her at the conclusion of all that. Then I heard from Mr. Mountjoy Venning, who then asked for a continuance, which he did not do before having Ms. Slauson testify all that. I told him we would have this hearing today.
I
And
understand.
I fully intend to do that.
I understand, Your Honor. I mean, I can tell you from my experience, people are having a very difficult time retaining attorneys right now because of just the way the workload's gone for all of us. If the court's not willing to issue a continuance, then I don't think we have any choice other than to go ahead and continue today, or to proceed today, rather.
So the motion for continuance at this point is denied. We're going to hear the hearing and then we're going to go from there. And so I've reviewed the.
So what's been going on in a nutshell? You have Kate Slauson and Mr. Montjoy is going to come in. Mr. Montjoy, he's like a villain, and he is a villain. And he keeps wanting to have continuances, and this is the judge had enough and said, "Nope, we're hearing this because this girl is in distress," and you will hear.
And Mr. Mountjoy Venning, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I'm going to need you to come on the Zoom call there.
Get on, Mr. Venning. Here he is.
So, since you were not here, Mr. Crow, it's going to be necessary, obviously, for Ms. Slauson to testify again. And so I'm going to have to, I'll swear her in again. And then Ms. Slauson, you kind of testified in a narrative form last time.
Itch.
Probably the same is going to happen now. Mr. Crow does have the opportunity to ask you questions. That's his right to do that. He's going to, and I'll allow him to do that. But could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Correct.
You can put your hand down. And then go ahead, ma'am. I've reviewed your petition, and I'll hear from you on why it is you need necessary, why it's necessary that you feel you need an order against Mr. Mountjoy Venning.
Okay. I actually put together a timeline that is a bit more concise and clear here. So I'm going to read from that now. Okay. So
take a breath.
My relationship with Alan began in 2021 as a student in my open studio ceramics classes at Arbutus Folk School. With evidence I've provided, I have basically gone into detail about what his behavior was in terms of what was making me uncomfortable. Initially, it was asking me to lunch. It was almost obsessively asking me to lunch. And it became offering money, gifts, food, things like that. Coming to my college graduation. He even paid for drinks at a restaurant that I had mentioned I was going to. So it became incredibly intrusive in my life. And at one point, it was at the end of August, I think it was August 25th, I was preparing for a class in the morning. And we leave our garage door open at our studio because our kilns are really hot. And he walked through the door before our class had started, and he was not enrolled in this class. But basically over many months had proposed something along these lines, but wanted me to basically quit my job and start teaching ceramics classes out of his home studio. He proposed buying all of the pottery wheels, the kilns, the supplies that would be required. And he even said he would be pursuing this selfishly to learn pottery from me. This person had also described many times his fondness of me to the point of complete discomfort. And so I felt incredibly uncomfortable. But this is honestly just the beginning. So on September 19th in 2022, I reported this behavior to my employer. My employer initially requested he not attend my studio sessions. And to be clear, there was other studio sessions he could attend, but not mine. But his initial response was to refuse that request and to try to gain access through our director, hosting him private lessons. On 9/27/2022, Alan was asked to drop out of my courses. He agreed not to attend the upcoming course, but refused to agree about future registrations. On 9/30, only 3 days later, Alan was asked again not to attend my courses, to which my employer and Alan could not come to an agreement on until he emailed my employer later agreeing to stay out of my class. On 10/3/2022, Alan re-enrolled in my open studio sessions without notifying anyone, which my employer described as a refusal to drop my courses until he was offered time in our studio to finish his ceramic project. At this point, our director handed off this issue to our board of directors. On October 17th, 2022, Alan was formally requested by our board of directors to stay off of Arbutus property until further notice. On November 14th, 2022, Alan was banned from Arbutus property and any events hosted or sponsored by Arbutus for 1 year. On December 5th, 2022, I was planning to meet a student early at 8:30 in the morning to help them finish a project before work. I want to emphasize too that we operate our doors out of an exit door, which has no window to seeing who is outside that door. So I assumed a student was knocking at the door, but it was Alan. And he was outside standing there with a letter that he had printed from an email he had sent me. This email is in evidence, but it just describes that he has been diagnosed with a terminal illness and that I must submit my statement that I had sent to our board to him for closure before his life ends. So I slammed the door shut and I, of course, report this immediately. Within days of that, our board of directors made a phone call to him threatening more serious legal action. And his response to our board of directors on December 21st, 2022 is in evidence, and it states he will stay far away from Arbutus. At this time, I had requested a peephole be installed in our exit door. And I want to emphasize here, because Alan has mentioned this in emails about his wife and having overlapping conflicts with where I live and our septic system. And I wanted to be clear that on Thursday, January 12th, Jane Mountjoy Venning, his wife, came to my house to do a dye test for our septic system.
I'm going to object to I'm going to object to this coming into evidence, Your Honor. This wasn't in any of the documents that have been submitted so far. There was nothing submitted about Mr. Mountjoy Venning's wife.
Yes, there was. He spoke of her in an email to
Ms.
our
Lawson,
board.
stop for a second. Stop for a second. So he makes an objection, I make a ruling, and then depending on how I rule, you can continue or not. Or if I sustain the objection saying, don't answer this anymore, then you need to move away from that. You understand that? And I know you're not an attorney. I don't think you're an attorney anyway, but and normally we don't have, I mean, it's not uncommon to have attorneys here, but that's how that's going to work. And so I'm going to overrule the objection, allow the testimony to continue. And this is her sworn testimony. You can cross-examine her on that if when the time comes, Mr. Crow. But for right now, I'll overrule your objection. So Ms. Lawson, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. So Jane arrived at my house. I met her. She specifically spoke of how Alan loves Arbutus and my courses. I redirected the conversation. There was no mention of the situation. I stayed silent about this. And I wanted to make that very, very clear that that incident did occur. She did come to my home multiple times. The other times that she had come to my home, they were just dying water. I did not have to be present. The final time she came to my home, we discussed future plans for my septic system. It was a very cordial interaction. It was appropriate, and not one time was anything in relation to this mentioned. So things were quiet, but on April 13th, 2022, Alan taped a birthday card to the door of Arbutus while I was teaching a class. And on Monday, April 24th, 2022, he was sitting outside the coffee shop, which is adjacent to the ceramic studio door, at the end of my shift as I was leaving. And on May 3rd, that's when I decided to file a protection order to ensure my safety at my place of employment. I want to be clear as well. Alan had been told not to communicate with me many times. He had sworn that he deleted my personal email, but he had emailed me that letter he had printed and presented to me at work. He had emailed me that to my personal email. He mailed a letter to the school that was an apology. He has continuously made his presence known after being requested to leave me alone. And not only has he been requested, he has acknowledged that he will leave me alone and continues to return. I have felt unsafe, paranoid. I can't focus. I deserve to have a place where I feel safe at work. And ultimately, it's incredibly concerning to me that once I did report this behavior, it increased, it became more persistent, it became more ambiguous. And I feel that that's all I will say. But ultimately, if the only thing that I did wrong was treat this person with respect at my job, at my place of employment, where I treat everyone with kindness and respect, then that I will live with. But everything that this person has done is not defendable, and he continues to do it. Whereas I continue to go to work, treat people with respect, live my life, and try to find peace. So I want whatever this person wants to be over, for me to be protected, and for me to go to work and not have to worry at all if I will be bothered. And that is all I have to say here.
So, and Ms. Lawson, as I indicated earlier, Mr. Crow does have the right to ask you questions. And so that's going to happen now. And so, Mr. Crow, you may cross-examine Ms. Lawson if you wish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few questions. You mentioned a letter, Ms. Lawson, that you said a letter that he had printed. Was it an email that he had just printed out the email?
Correct.
Okay. Was that attached to your petition? That particular one?
That email is attached to my petition.
All right. Did he attempt to re-enroll in classes that you were teaching after he was asked not to?
Correct.
Washington State, Baron.
I want to specify he was asked not to, and he agreed not to.
And is it your testimony that he did anyway?
Correct.
Would he have known that he was enrolling in classes that were specifically taught by you, or was he just re-enrolling or enrolling in classes?
Correct. He was enrolling in classes specifically led by me.
My question was, would he have known that from the materials that he would have had when he enrolled?
Correct.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lawson. And Mr. Crow, do you wish to call Mr. Mountjoy Venning? I can swear
do.
him in, and then I'll allow you to inquire. Rather than, typically it's narrative form, but you can certainly examine Mr. Mountjoy Venning if you wish.
I do wish to call him, yes.
Mr. Mountjoy Venning, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do so affirm, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down.
Creed.
And Mr. Crow, you may inquire.
Mr. Mountjoy Venning, to start with, Ms. Lawson described an incident recently that caused her to want this order. Were you, I believe, at a coffee shop? Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, I have, frequented that coffee shop since before either Kate or I ever went to Arbutus. And it is near, but it is not Arbutus property. It does not violate the terms of the letter. When I saw that Kate was in the order, I was there to meet someone. I called them, changed my order to go, and was leaving so as not to encounter her. And as I crossed the street and went to my car, all of a sudden I heard screech, brakes stopping, and a bunch of yelling. And I thought it was like road rage and somebody was going to start shooting. And I looked to my left, and there in a car that I didn't recognize was somebody screaming at me. And I looked, and it was Kate. And she had stopped traffic and she was screaming at me. And I was distressed. I didn't know what was going on. And she said, "We know what you're doing. Stop doing this." And I have not been on Arbutus property since, since I left the studio, since the incident she describes, in which I came before the studio, which is very common. Students often come to check on their work before, when the studio's open, they come to check on their work, just pick it up or make sure that, it's wrapped well or whatever. It's very common. So on this day, I didn't approach Arbutus. I wasn't there for Arbutus. I also volunteer for the
Mr. Mountjoy Benning?
Yes. Anyway, she approached, she yelled at me.
Mountjoy Benning, please.
Mr. Mountjoy Benning, I'm gonna have you stop. Mr. Crow, you can ask your next, say what you were gonna say, then ask your next question.
What I was gonna say is that I was specifically asking about the incident at the coffee shop and what happened immediately thereafter.
Yes, well, so
We're gonna move on. No.
She yelled and raged at me, and I was so shaken that I left.
Mr. Mountjoy Benning, could you please just answer my questions?
Thank you.
And not volunteer anything else, please.
Thank you.
Okay. When was the last time that you were on Arbutus property?
Well, the alley is public property.
When was the last time you were on Arbutus property?
Probably sometime in October of 2023. And that includes all of the events they sponsor.
In Mr. Mountjoy Benning?
Not been there.
Not been October of 2023, would it? That hasn't happened yet.
I'm sorry, October of 2022.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
On the property, yes.
Right. When was the first time that you were asked not to speak with Miss Lawson, or not to take classes rather from Miss Lawson?
Hillary Tully, the executive director, and I had a long email exchange on many subjects other than this. And she wrote saying, "I don't know what happened, but I need you to not enroll in, we need to disenroll you from the studio classes that you are in." And they did that. And before we really had a chance to, detail the situation, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question? I don't want to go beyond what you asked. You're asking when was...
I was asking when they, actually about the conversation. I think you were answering my question.
Yes, okay. So anyway, yes.
When, can you tell me when that happened, date-wise, approximately?
Approximately October of 2023 or 2022, yes. And then, yes, and she had disenrolled me. We had a discussion, yes.
Did you attempt to re-enroll in Miss Lawson's classes after that?
Well, I did. I had told Hillary I did not need any contact with her. I would simply finish my pieces. I'd be done and I'd leave. And she wrote back and said, "That's not going to work. And we'll arrange another time for you to finish your pieces." And I said, "Okay."
Did you attempt to re-enroll in new classes being taught by Miss Lawson after you were asked not to?
I did. They were the same classes, and we had not had a discussion about what was going on. So I re-enrolled. I had also agreed with the children in my faith community to do some holiday stuff, and I had a whole bunch of stuff in process. And lined up to work out for them. So I was, you know, I was determined to do that. And then when she clarified, this isn't going to work, I said, I got it. I understand it.
Okay, and after that, after you said you got it, you understand it, did you
I had no further
have to
contact
re-enroll? I'm
with,
sorry?
with Hillary or any enrollment. No.
Karen had the best. Ew. Great comment. Ew.
In fact,
thank you, Southern
yes,
Comfort.
I had
Can you
no.
tell me,
Very creepy.
we
but it's
talked
up
about
to
the coffee
lady
shop that you
in the
frequent.
closet
Do you
to decide.
do other things downtown frequently or attend other events or go to other places?
Yes.
Well, Arbutus is located right across the street from City Hall. I own property in the city, so I'm at City Hall occasionally. I also attend Olympia City events, you know. I have volunteered for years with the Sunrise Community Garden, and I collect coffee grounds and coffee chaff, which is the skin off the coffee when it's roasted, or the bean. And
What? What does he collect? Isn't that one step down from human skin? Coffee chaff? Who the hell collects that, you creep?
and burlap sacks for use by the garden, and I do
Burlap sack. Sure.
that routinely. I come by routinely.
Do you routinely visit the dance
this
studio
poor
that's next
girl.
to Arbutus?
Dance studio. There's the Children's Family Theater. There was actually the Elizabeth Lord production.
Do you take Latin dance lessons right there?
Oh yeah, salsa. I occasionally do recreational salsa on the Friday night thing at the restaurant there, and I am often in the area there for eating and dining at that restaurant and for dancing. That is
What a pretentious creep.
also that is across the street, but within, you know, it's the next block. Again,
Okay.
they're right downtown.
Can you tell me what your wife does for a living?
My wife is works for Thurston County Public Health on water quality matters, most emanating from failing septic systems. She works with a program that
would she have a valid professional reason for testing this?
sure. No, yeah, that had nothing to do. I mean, I didn't even know it happened until Jane told me sometime later.
Did you ask your wife is Jane?
And
did you ask your wife? Did you ask your wife to talk to Miss Lawson about this situation with Arbutus?
Of course not, because I didn't even know until weeks after she was there that their property was involved. I still don't know anything about that visit other than it occurred.
Look at that poor girl. If anyone doesn't believe her, I mean, I know women lie, but this poor girl is just distraught. That's not fake. He is a jack off.
And that she met Kate, probably.
And it occurred in the normal course of her doing her job.
Oh
Kate,
yeah, absolutely. And she won't even discuss the visits with me. You know, it's totally totally unrelated.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
I just carved up my last college student co-ed, and I put her pinky toe in my burlap sacks right next to my chaff. Asshole.
But I felt threatened. I mean, and I
He felt
for my wife
threatened
because Kate was so enraged, and I thought, my gosh, if she's there again and Kate's this angry, she didn't seem afraid. She seemed angry.
Are you, Mr. Mountjoy Benning? Are you specifically speaking about after the incident where Miss Lawson?
Yes. I was very alarmed. I was assaulted and I was afraid.
So hang on just a second. You know, when you guys talk over each other, I can't hear either one of you.
Thank you.
I apologize, Your Honor.
It's okay, Mr. Crow. I just want to know what specific incident he's talking about. That wasn't clear to me. And then,
so
was that the incident following the coffee shop that I heard about?
I think his testimony was that, yeah, it was the incident following him being across the street at the coffee shop when Miss Lawson was yelling at him.
Then you may continue. Then I understand where we're at.
me check my notes quickly. You regularly attend graduations at Evergreen State College?
I graduated Evergreen in 1981. I'm
You
sorry.
regularly attend
Yes, I do. And I've
graduations
attended
at Evergreen
at
State
least
College.
15 times, and I do give graduates who I know gifts and cards.
Did Miss Lawson ever specifically talk to you personally about being uncomfortable with your behavior?
No, she did not. She declined,
Okay.
deferred, and sometimes said
Let's
yes.
stop.
accepted many
Mr.
gifts.
If I may, Mr. Mountjoy Venning,
His lawyer wants to kill him.
please answer my questions and then stop talking.
No, thank you.
Can you do that?
I can try.
That's his lawyer. His lawyer.
I'm just very quickly checking my my notes here.
Mr. Mountjoy, shut up. I
She
can't.
testified about gifts that you had given her. Did she ever thank you for those gifts?
Yes, she did.
Did she
In
accept the
writing?
gifts?
Yes, she did.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Oh, thank God.
Ms. Lawson, you have the opportunity to ask questions if you wish. You can tell me what questions you wish to ask Mr. Mountjoy Jennings, and I will pass them on to him. But if you don't have any, then I'll hear argument from both sides and make a ruling.
Okay. I'm not sure that I have a question, but I want to be very clear that Alan did physically arrive to the door of Arbutus and met me when he had been requested not to
Objection.
be on Arbutus
So
property.
thank you. Hang on just a second,
an
ma'am, Ms.
examination.
Lawson. Mr. Crowe, I'm going to allow that as a rebuttal test. I'm going to consider that rebuttal testimony. And then if you have any follow-up questions for her, you can. So anything further, Ms. Lawson?
Um,
And you can continue. I think you made your point there. Mr. Crowe may have some follow-up questions, but if you have any additional,
that was the most alarming to me.
okay.
So
Do you have any cross-examination, again, of what I would consider rebuttal testimony, Mr. Crowe?
No.
Okay. And so, Ms. Slauson, I've reviewed your.
Okay, so I'm going to go to part 2. I have part 2. I'm just going to show you for a second what they keep talking about with Arbutus. So Arbutus is this lovely school located in downtown Olympia, or whatever it is. Welcome to Arbutus Folk School. We collect human skin and beans, where Mr. Mountjoy Venning is a grade A creep. It looks like such an innocent place until that creep gets on campus. So, it's a folk art school. Very cute. All right, part 2, here we go. Part 2 is very quick. It is going to be the ruling, and then we will call it a day. All right, here we go.
in this order, I would like to be granted safety 1,000 feet from my place of employment, which is Arbutus Folk School. Yes, in downtown Olympia, which that street can be driven around and avoided. And ultimately, I would want this to be indefinitely, but at the very minimum, 1 year. And again, I think that's all there is to say here.
Mr. Crowe, I'll hear from you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mountjoy Venning hasn't been on the Arbutus property since last October. He was asked to leave. There was some confusion about finishing up his the projects that he had going on. As soon as he understood that he really wasn't to re-enroll in those classes, he didn't do it. The fact that he's been going downtown doesn't arise to the level of harassment of Miss Lawson. He's had coffee at that coffee shop for years before he knew her and before he was at Arbutus. He does recreational dancing at the restaurant that's a little ways away. He has to go to City Hall to conduct business there, like paying his taxes and things like
Lies.
that. Essentially, he's been downtown, and that's continued to bother Miss Lawson. He hasn't had any further contact with her. The issue with his wife is irrelevant, although she did testify that was a professional interaction, and that Ms. Mountjoy Vending wasn't participating in any sort of acts of harassment, but she was doing her job, which she has to do. 1,000-foot radius around Arbutus, or 1,000 feet away, that's a 2,000-foot radius. That essentially bans Mr. Mountjoy Vending from downtown for the most part. Yes, you could drive around. If you want to get from the west side to the east side, you can take Interstate 5. But there is a lot going on downtown that a resident of Olympia may want to go to. And Mr. Mountjoy Vending has a long history of attending events and going to restaurants and doing things downtown. So the 1,000-foot radius is inappropriate in this case. And the fact that he hasn't been to Arbutus since last October shows that he understands that his attention is not wanted. And it's understanding that there was confusion during the time that this was going on, when nobody was telling him until Arbutus took him aside and told him to stop. Nobody
Your
was
Honor.
telling him to stop.
We're going to let him finish there, Ms. Lawson.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just finishing up. So what we would ask the court to do is deny the anti-harassment protection order. Mr. Mountjoy Vending is already not going to Arbutus, so it's unnecessary to do it. But telling him that he can't go to the coffee shop and that he can't go to the restaurants and that he can't go to the theaters that are within, for plays and for other events that are within 1,000 feet of Arbutus. That's not appropriate. And we'd ask that if the court is considering entering the anti-harassment order, that it reduce the parameters to just not allowing him to go to Arbutus at all. And whatever radius you want to put around her personal residence and school, if she's going to school or something like that, then I think that's appropriate. But keeping him out of downtown almost entirely is not appropriate when he's already staying away.
So here's a definition I've read. I should have read this at the beginning of the calendar for all to hear, but I'll read it now. Unlawful harassment is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, harasses, or is detrimental to such person that serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. Course of conduct must be such as would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress and must actually cause substantial emotional distress. Course of conduct.
Make sure you hit that like, people. Help me out with the algo. Thank you.
Is contained in that definition is defined as follows: is a pattern of conduct composed of a series of acts over a period of time, however short, evidencing continuity of purpose. Course of conduct includes any form of communication, contact, or conduct, including the sending of electronic communication, but does not include constitutionally protected free speech. In this case, apparently it's clear Mr. Mountjoy Vending became acquainted with Ms. Lawson in the course of taking classes at where she teaches ceramics. And it kind of went to a place that made Ms. Lawson and apparently her employers uncomfortable, to the point where they communicated to Mr. Mountjoy that he couldn't do certain things, couldn't have certain contact.
Why is he eating? He's doing that on purpose. Ugh, I hate him.
With the business. And then, as he indicated in his own testimony, he re-enrolled in her class, which he conceded happened. Again, it was communicated to him by and I understand why Ms. Lawson may not want to be uncomfortable to do that herself, but certainly her place of employment said, this has got to stop, but it didn't. And then it did stop for a while. Ms. Lawson indicated in her testimony that Mr. Mountjoy Vending appeared again, taped the birthday card, and didn't hear from Mr. Mountjoy Vending that did not occur. It appears to be unrebutted testimony, and so I will make a finding that the course of conduct or the pattern of conduct that Mr. Mountjoy Vanning engaged in does rise to the level of harassment, so I am going to enter an order.
Good.
With regard to and the order will be in place for 1 year. That's a default position of what happens, and it can be petitioned to be extended, but a lot of times, most of the time, after the course of the year, these things just kind of recede and fade away, and I think that's everyone's hope in this case. And so the order is, it's going to be an anti-harassment order. Mr. Mountjoy Vanning's not to contact.
Definitely, basement. Definitely. He's been doing it the entire time. He loves that she's on camera. You notice he's lowered his shirt since the beginning. It was top button. Now it's still like the third. And where's his wife?
Mountjoy Vanning is to obviously don't cause any no harm to the petitioner. Have no contact at all. That means any contact, Mr. Mountjoy Vanning, whether it's texting, emailing, any sort of communication. She's not just not to be a part of your life. Do you understand that?
That's my desire as well, sir.
I do agree, the whole Mrs. Mountjoy Vanning, I think is not really relevant to what's happening here. I'm basing this order just based on the conduct as it was described to me, and some of which agreed to by Mr. Mountjoy Vanning over the course of several months.
Look at him. See? I have salsa after this. I can't wait to go stalk her later. Look at him. Oh, he buttoned up. Look. Whoa. Creep. Grade A, people. Grade A.
With regard to the distance restriction, there is going to be a distance restriction. I'll reduce it somewhat from 1,000 feet. Distance, you're not to come within 500 feet of the protected person, Ms. Slauson. You're not become within 500 feet of her residence or place of employment. I'm pretty familiar, frankly, Mr. Mountjoy Vanning, with downtown Olympia. I've lived here my whole life. There's plenty of restaurants, theaters, and downtown entertainment that are greater than 500 feet away from where I understand the arborist studio is. I also think there's very little that can't be done online with the city of Olympia these days. I know you had mentioned both last week and this, that you go to the city, but I don't. Sounds like your wife is and I think Mr. Crow said, it goes to pay taxes or whatever, but all that stuff, so much of that stuff is done online, even meetings. So I think it's 500 feet, it's 500 feet. You're not to come within 500 feet of that, of the arborist studio. Do you have any questions about that?
Me, Your Honor?
Yes.
Well,
how do I get pieces of her skin now?
I don't.
That'll be easy for you to comply with if you don't have any questions. Then
500 feet means the main arterials are still off limits. I couldn't go on Plum. I couldn't go on Olympia. So I'll have to be mindful of my routes. Thank you.
Yes, you certainly will. You certainly will.
Judge
and
knows.
I think that'll conclude the hearing. Do we send this to those folks, or they just get it?
Mr. Mountjoy Vanning, I will call you as soon as we're off the Zoom call.
Thank you.
And the order will be available. You can get on the Thurston County District Court website, and you can find the order on the website.
Thank you.
Look at him. He's like, yeah, Mr. Crow. He's going to press the trapdoor button. Attorney number 4. Look at him. He is Olympia's evil villain. He scares me. All right, people. I am so glad we hit 10K. I'm just a dork that likes to watch court and enjoy it with you. That's it. I'm not a lawyer. Don't claim to be. I'm just a super fan that enjoys it and plugs and plays with videos on a daily basis. But I'm having fun doing it. I appreciate it. Make sure you check out my girl Kitch. She's live tonight. Thank you to all my moderators. Thank you to all of you. Thank you for the support. 10K week is rolling on. I'm Phil. And make sure you remember that you have been a sir.